Our first Bitcoin transaction was in October of 2012, and it was worth $48 worth of Bitcoins. And now that is worth approximately $3,200 worth of Bitcoins.
Originally, when I first joined, it was mostly idealists and people that really wanted to, take on the Fed and the government's control of money, cryptographers, anarchists. We were all super nerds that just out to change the world. Then it started getting a little bit more professional. You had guys like Roger Ver, Tony Galippi from BitPay getting in, and they brought real-world business experience to Bitcoin. And now I think we're in somewhat of a third phase where you're seeing people that hadn't heard of Bitcoin a while ago or wouldn't have got into it before it was big enough. Now you see Jeremy Allaire and guys like that are jumping into Bitcoin that have a lot of business experience but not necessarily as much Bitcoin experience, and they're not really getting into it so much for philosophical reasons. They're more getting into it to make a lot of money, which is fine as well.
I love that I can take a Bitcoin in the United States and I could go to another country and I can still spend that currency without having to exchange it into the local currency first.
So I think the benefits of taking Bitcoin are all the benefits of credit cards and all the benefits of cash without the downsides. So it doesn't have the chargebacks that credit cards do. It doesn't have the security issues like cash does with both employees and taking it to a bank and the traveling with it.
One of the cool things about Bitcoin is it's okay to try to hack it. It's okay to try to break it. It's okay to try to steal it. The theory is that those will make the system stronger. It's more like from the Linux perspective, where breaking into Linux systems means that we can go and make them stronger against hackers in the future, that's actually a good thing, as opposed to, say, what's going on in the money system, where you'll get cops showing up at your door if you try to steal money. That's completely different, and I think that's one of the things that's going on now, is that Bitcoin is becoming stronger by being tested and pushed and shoved.
For me, the number one downside to Bitcoin is all the conversation. I'm here to sell food, and we have the most delicious stuff in the world and the hottest, newest foods. And when customers walk in, I want them to pay in Bitcoin, yes, because I need to have their money in order to pay my suppliers. But I really want them to talk about chocolate and balsamic vinegar, not how they paid. So that to me is probably the number one downside. Pretty much everything else has been fine. Currency fluctuations. If that bothers you, then cash it out.
Issue that I worry about in Bitcoin, not as a current problem, but something that could develop, is the security of the cryptography. It's important that you stay ahead of the speed of the computers, because if a computer is able to crack cryptography, it can it can render the whole Bitcoin system useless, as well as any other internet security systems.
So here's a physical Bitcoin, and there's a public key on the outside so you can check how much it's worth, and there's a private key on the inside so you can redeem it for 1 Bitcoin when you want to. We bought these when they were about $15, and now they're worth a little over $800. And here's a quarter. The only difference is that people decide how much they're worth, and that's true with just about anything. Something is only worth the amount that someone is willing to pay for it.
Years ago, everyone looked at it and they said this is a scam, or this won't work, or it's vulnerable to security threats, or no one will ever use it. And now it's, when people talk about Bitcoin, they say, okay, how do I use it? Or VCs say, hey, I'm looking for the right Bitcoin company to invest in. It's just the acceptance has really changed.